Hi, I'm Randy Hollenbeck, and this is the Music Roundtable. Today on the show, we have Kyle and Myles Mendes from electronic rock band Nite.
How are you doing?
Hey, how are you doing? Thank you for having us.
In the dark, you'll hear my call. With every abuse, you will not fall. Through this life of suffering, you will never let me down. Our lights will never die. Our lights will never die.
Now, I just wanted to dig into some history. What got you into music? Was it like a song, a band? Did you get an instrument? What started your journey?
I would say our parents. I think they exposed us to a lot of 80s and 90s music, and we took hold of that. They also brought us to our first concert ever, which was Kiss. So we got to see an incredible live show with superheroes in makeup and costumes and stuff.
What about Kyle?
Yeah, I would agree. I think our parents kind of really kickstarted that for us. We are originally from Canada, and at a very young age, we had to make that drive from Canada to Texas, where we currently live, Dallas, Texas. And I feel like I probably first fell in love with music making that drive and listening to all of our parents' records all the way down. 'Cause that's all you could do, when you're a kid in the 90s, making a 21-hour drive to your new home. And I feel like that's kind of the beginning of, oh, wow, like I felt the music. And my parents listened to a wide variety from 90s dance music to classic rock and everything in between. And yeah, I fell in love with a lot of music at that time. And I feel like I've ever since have been addicted, just listening to 21 hours of music straight. And now I always have music on all the time.
Did you both know that you were gonna form a band together?
I would say so.
I would say often yes. I feel like even as little kids, we've always talked about making music together and what it would sound like, and what kind of elements we would combine. And finally, throughout the ages, we learned how to play music and our instruments, and started the second we started playing chords, just started making music together. But yeah, we are brother bands. We've been doing music forever.
Now, who would you say are some of your influences?
Man, it is a pretty big variety. I would say we call it the new wave post-punk trinity, The Cure, Depeche Mode, and New Order. But we also love some sludgier music too, like Nine Inch Nails and the Smashing Pumpkins. And I think those are probably the grand scheme. Like we're into like tons of smaller, obscure bands, but those are kind of like that's like our pitch to the general audience. Those are our main influences.
Yeah, I might add like 2000s like bands like The Faint, The Presets, and Cut Copy.
I'm not too sure if you're familiar with those bands or not. I think, yeah, two of those bands are from Australia and might be more popular in Europe. And then the Faint, they're pretty popular. They're from Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska. Sorry, Omaha, yeah, Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah, sorry. And they kind of kickstarted this whole kind of dark indie-tronic vibe. Some people even claim that the Killers got
The Killers had kind of listed them as an influence. Other than the Strokes, it was like The Faint came out like way before all of that kickstarted.
Okay. And how did you come up with the name for the band?
I guess, well, originally we wanted to call the band Nighttime Eyes, just because we were actually secretly recording in a studio that we weren't supposed to be recording at. We came in after hours. A friend of ours worked there, and um, we would work obviously like in the after hours, like all the way through 3 a.m. and beyond. And with the bags under his eyes and the bags under our eyes, just because we're all making that sacrifice to be there, we made fun of each other about having nighttime eyes, and we thought it sounded cool. But then we just condensed it to night because nobody understood us. Everyone, what's your band name? Nighttime Eyes, and we'd have to repeat it like 2 times.
Yeah, it's a lot simpler with just night.
True. Yes. The only issue that we come into now is Google. We weren't thinking about that when we made the band.
4-letter word.
We are getting easier to find, we've noticed.
And what city are you based out of?
Dallas, Texas. Sorry, I should have mentioned that before. We Miles is currently he's in Denton, Texas, which is no, we both live north of Dallas, and I live in Lewisville, Texas. That's about a 30-minute distance. So Denton, Lewisville, and then downtown Dallas. Trickling down south.
I wanted to talk a little bit about your writing style. Now, with you having your brother in a band, he's your twin brother, right?
Yes, we are twins. Correct.
And is there do you ever notice like a connection? Like he'll come up with an idea and he'll pitch it to you and you'll know exactly what he's talking about.
Oh, absolutely. We kind of have our own musical language. So he might reference something that may not make musical sense, but I totally understand what he's saying. And it has a lot to do with the fact that we listen to a lot of the same records and we talk a lot about music together that we might say something that no one else would understand, but we understand. I just can't think of an example right now, but like I guess for instance, I said the word sludgy earlier. That's not really used. I mean, you can probably guess what sludgy means after mentioning Nine Inch Nails and the Smashing Pumpkins, but it's not really a word that is used a lot for genres or style of music. But there's probably a better example. But yeah, if Miles is trying to go for something, I would usually, even if I just listening to it, I can kind of get what he's going for.
We just released a song called "All Your Pain," and people ask us all the time if we can feel each other's pain, and to some degree, we can without actually feeling it. I think there is a sense there that we can just kind of get what one's going through without having to talk about it, and it might just be largely that we can read each other's body language, or who knows. But yeah, I think there is that twin psychic telepathy power that exists, and it's just because we've grew up with each other and make music and spend too many hours together. I just think it just kind of naturally comes through.
Have you ever had any disagreements?
Oh yeah, all the time, all the time. We joke that we want to have an Oasis, like the band Oasis. We want to have that kind of moment on stage one day.
It's gonna happen. Just hasn't been the right time yet. If not an argument, Miles and I will clash skulls together headbanging.
Yeah, we're waiting for that day.
Maybe it'll be you. Next time you play Pittsburgh, maybe you'll catch our Oasis moment.
Yeah,
I'll videotape it while it's happening.
please. Yeah.
Yes, go on Instagram Live.
I wanted to talk about a couple of your songs. Price for Heaven. You got like keys and horns in it, and it got like a dance vibe to it. And in the chorus, you sing, "Break our bones, slide through chains. What's the price you pay for heaven?" Can you tell me a little bit about that song and a little bit about that line?
Yeah. Well, I guess at large, like I'm talking about just for a lot of people, what maybe what they perceive it as, that life can be just kind of like a hard struggle that we all go through. And it could be anything, a variety of things, but breaking our bones to slide through chains to maybe get out of bondage of some sort. It could be a drug addiction. It could be anything. And I think that a lot of people, even on a financial level, I think people look to celebrities or they look to those who are more fortunate in that way, and they ask what's the price they pay, or it could. And again, too, when you look at is the grass greener on the other side, it might not truly be. But I think that was kind of my question when I'm thinking. Sorry, I think conceptually this could be too broad, but to bring into like Pink Floyd, another brick in the wall, something like that, where there's nothing you can do to really change the system or how things work. I mean, as an individual, we're kind of like powerless to it. And time again, we see the same things unfold. And like I said, we look to like a celebrity or someone who might be more successful than yourself. And you think, okay, like, I don't know if this is attainable or not. I don't know what's the price that they paid. We can't see that story, but I don't know. I guess it can go a multitude of different directions. There's a poem from Ozymandias, or it's called Ozymandias. Have you ever heard of this one? No. I guess I'd recommend reading it. It's pretty short.
It's a short poem. I mean, we can even refer to like Ecclesiastes kind of thing, where our mortal efforts don't really matter as much, and you can look into other people's lives and maybe not truly understand the full picture, like Miles said previously. And we're always competing with each other, but we don't really know the sacrifices people make to be where they are for happiness, and if that happiness even matters. That kind of that kind of vibe. A little bit kind of a little depressing and hopeless, but it doesn't have to be.
We're all humans. We're bound to die. We are born and we will die someday. And we're trying to enjoy this existence. And this existence can be very hard. And just having to from the daily struggle to your life struggle, what is the price you pay for heaven? And we're all trying to achieve that heaven on earth. We want happiness, and that's a hard thing to achieve sometimes. So I think that, yeah, we can really bring in a lot of different concepts. And I really wish that we could just really point out this just one, just finite thing. But we've heard from different people what it means to them. And one person commented on our YouTube video from Germany that he's a bicyclist, and it related to him, and it's especially because of the broken bones bit. And maybe he's breaking bones cycling through some mountainous terrain, or, which is totally something I wasn't thinking about when I wrote the song. So did you have any takeaway from that? I'm actually interested in what you might think, Randy.
With you changed my whole mind when you were talking about that, but it feels like you just have to keep on pushing through and overcoming like roadblocks in your way, basically.
Yeah, I think that is actually. Oh, sorry, Kyle, was it talking over you?
Oh, no, I was just saying that's pretty on point, because we're all facing something, and whatever it is that you're facing, trying to achieve what you're trying to achieve. Hopefully, we achieve it, but it may not mean anything. But yeah, we're all sliding through chains, breaking our bones to get out of our how we're all bounded or binded by these struggles in life.
Yeah, honestly, Randy, you put it in a very simple way, and I really like that. So
Yes. Yeah, Miles and I are talking in circles, and you kind of just said it straight.
yeah.
Life's a screen, life won't change. Cannot bleed like you. Do we bleed the same? It will amount to nothing. Take your drug, break an empire. Fill the hole, fill those empty eyes. It will amount to nothing. It will amount to nothing. It will amount to nothing. All our lives we are
The next song is "Our Light Will Never Die," and it feels like basically something I was just talking about. This is what I got from the song. You're struggling to survive, but you keep on pushing through to make it to the other side.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's kind of a theme with all of our songs currently. And n- n- not to say that we're going through major struggles right now or anything like that, but growing up, kind of becoming, your adult self, we're always trying to push our struggles and trying to find happiness. And sometimes that price is higher than you might think. But yeah, it's definitely again overcoming what's binding us, to kind of get to the other side. Even though, but also acknowledging that that's not the end, that's not the finish line. We're the struggle never ends.
Right. Yeah. Actually, I mean, Kyle and I pretty much do music full time, and it's not just the band Nite. And I think that that's just a struggle in itself. That we essentially are our own company, and we're always constantly just finding for the next thing to keep us afloat.
And it feels like you just have to keep on pushing through. You just can't stop because you're not, if you stop, you're not going to make it.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And for anything, anything in life, you have to put your entire self into something to achieve what you want to achieve. And yeah, it doesn't even end there. Do you feel that way in your life? Oh, sorry. I was going to just ask you a question if you resonate with that, with things that you're trying to achieve, or
Every day. it I wanted to start out slow a little bit this month, and like I got 6 interviews this week, so that didn't work, but I'm just going to keep on pushing through and keep on pumping out the interviews. And
That's awesome. Yeah, good for you having 6 interviews lined up. That's awesome.
by any chance, did we talk about the music roundtable when we were during the Pittsburgh show?
I talked to you guys, and I did an interview with the funeral portrait that night too.
Oh wow, okay.
Oh, very cool. That's awesome. We still talk with those guys. Yeah. We miss them. We spent a few weeks together, and now they're gone, and it sucks to be away from them. We are going to join Dead on a Sunday here next week on tour again. So we'll get to be reconvening with our friends.
And the funeral portrait are like blowing up now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think they're like making charting, like they're charting like on the actual Billboard chart. So like the only band we've ever achieved that.
Yep. I saw that they're number 2 right underneath Linkin Park last I saw.
That's like wild.
It's wild. And they absolutely deserve it too. They're hardworking people.
In shadows deep, my spirit grieves. A heart like yours begins to bleed. Through the thick and thin, and through the wild winds, our light will never die. Our light will never die.
I just wanted to talk about your sound a little bit. When I first heard these 2 songs, it brought me back into like the 80s because it reminds me of a lot of like the 80s movie soundtracks and like new wave and modern rock of the 80s, like The Cure, and I heard like you playing some kind of like U2 kind of chords on your guitar and stuff. Um, is that some of the influence that you got from like that stuff to create your sound?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, big time. I don't know if you're familiar, like The Cure, for instance. Like our first introduction to The Cure, what he released a DVD called The Trilogy, and he plays like three of his albums in completion. And one of those albums is one of our favorite albums of all time, called Disintegration. And then he also did an album called Blood Flowers, and then one called Pornography. And that's a very dark album. But those guitar tones and those albums just blew us away. And even you too. Some of their earliest records, like Boy, like there's some really cool, just chorused out from clean guitar tones to pretty, rocked up tones. So I feel like you're hitting the nail right on the head.
Cal, you got anything to add?
I don't know what it is. We can't get over new wave or synth pop. The sounds of the '80s. You mentioned U2 again. That's also a band that we're very inspired by, as well as The Cure, Depeche Mode, New Order. But yeah, I'm actually pleasantly surprised that, especially since you've heard us live first, that translated.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Um, I just wanted to ask you a question about the music industry. If you could change one thing in the music industry, what would it be?
Hmm. I think right now the music industry's biggest strength is also its biggest weakness, and I think that part of it is oversaturation. That anybody can put out a song; it could be an AI song or whatever. But I don't think that they aspire to be a different level. I think that they are taking up the bandwidth of Instagram or whatever, and competing with other bands, even though they may not know it, who are actually trying to perform at a higher level or aspire to be more. And I think that,
And beyond the hobbyist level, that kind of.
yeah, the hobby, it's just, and I think it's cool. People, music is, universal. I think, and I think that's also the benefit is that anybody can make music, and the softwares that are available make it incredibly easy to record, or even AI generated stuff makes it incredibly easy to just generate a song. And now anybody can be a pop star on Instagram. And I think that's also its greatest weakness.
Or as well. Now people don't need a record deal to be heard on Spotify. So on the flip side, it's the greatest weakness is its greatest strength as well. I feel like because of the internet and because of the easy access to get gear like this to record at home, uh, I feel like Miles and I have the opportunity to upload music on Spotify, make videos on Instagram, and get heard. When prior to that, if you didn't have that record label, you weren't getting on radio, you weren't getting on MTV if you didn't have that music video. So yeah, it's also a good strength. I kind of resonate with Miles on that too. I feel like I don't know how that could really change.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a double edged sword. It works for us and against us all at the same time. But I guess if there was something I could change, I couldn't put it specifically, but if there could be a way, I don't know. I think maybe AI could be just, it makes it a little too easy for anybody to just make a song. But um, that's a hard way to say I would change this, but then I know that would be a detriment to someone who just wants to express themselves and they want to be a hobbyist. I think that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, yeah. We're also not saying that being a hobbyist is a bad thing either.
Yeah, totally not.
Now, what's your take on AI? Do you think that in music, do you think it takes away the creativity in it?
I don't think it has to. I think that I think people could use AI, and I think I kind of resonate with Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins. What he's
Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
it still takes someone with that mind to recognize that this will be something that people will like. Uh, I don't even know how familiar you are with how AI is. I could actually still hear some artifacts, like artificial noises within the music. But I feel like if you could maybe generate something and kind of recognize, ooh, that sounds too simple. Those chords sound too overdone. You know, you can if you're talented enough or if you're creative enough, you could kind of keep shifting and changing from there, keep generating over and over again. But I definitely think that it can take away creativity and it might make people lazy because now you're getting a computer to generate something that you couldn't perform yourself. But I also think it could also be like people can get stuff done faster and kind of like, oh, this could be something people will really like, or I really resonate with this. But I think to answer that question, it's going to affect the live market more than it will the recording market because now you're going to have more people doing karaoke shows versus being able to perform.
Well, I think it's going to affect like Nashville, like when you have session musicians, that it's going to save a lot of people money if they're like, well, we don't need a session guitar player anymore. We just want an acoustic guitar track and then AI generates it. You know, I can see that kind of cutting someone's job out. I think there's some scary things in that spectrum. And then also what Kyle was saying that like, you know, and we're already kind of seeing this too. It's just since the, you know, on the lower level of things, bands are struggling. Like you don't see a lot of full bands anymore. You know, we see bands without drummers or whatever. It's not a bad thing. It's just where the state of the industry is. It's just touring is super expensive, and you know it goes back to the price for heaven.
Absolutely, yeah. I also don't want to put that down as well. You know,
Going back to Billy Corgan's sentiment that it takes someone who has a creative mind and they have an ear for music that they can kind of curate what goes in and out of a mix, and maybe someone will generate a great song through AI, but taking out the human element, I think kind of takes away the art element, because I do think for the most part art is a human experience, and as we know it, I'm interested in seeing how it helps artists create and helps through the production process, or even the live venue process. But I'm also kind of terrified to the negative things that could happen within the industry.
Yeah, like you were talking about, like it takes away the creativity and actually like the emotional part. Like even when you're like playing guitar in the studio, you could just hit something and it will set the tone, or even the your voice, how you project it, you know.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, that might take away some creative production stuff because you're not making music about around a sound that you created. You're now making music around something that the computer's going to generate, which the computer's going to generate what has been done before. It's copying off of other things.
Yeah, yeah. So music will start sounding the same. I mean, it already kind of is too. Except people are using a lot of the same software stuff, and yeah.
I was talking with some bands about AI like probably about 6 months ago, and we were talking about it being used in music and stuff. And you were saying it could just copy, and that's what I said, because it could just copy what came before, but us as creators, we create new things.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. I recognize that like when everyone's kind of started generating images. I recognize that a lot of the images that it creates are borrowed images, and there's even limitations within that. I mean, you can create a lot of crazy images. You can create Wolverine, a superhero character, flying like Superman, but I mean, but there's still limitations to that. It's the same thing with the music. I mean, I'm just talking about where AI is now. 5 years from now it could be drastically different, but there definitely is limitations, and it's only picking up from what it knows. But yeah, people can always combine elements. You can be inspired by the funeral portrait, but at the same time, you can be inspired by Elvis and combine those elements the way you see fit, versus a computer might do the obvious.
What do you have planned for the fall and winter?
this fall we're about to go on tour with Dead on a Sunday and a band called Haunt Me. They're also from Texas, and we're going to be playing about 15 shows, just basically starting in Texas and do kind of a big circle and find our way through Florida up to Tennessee and Kansas. So we got a lot of shows coming up, basically, but yet not in the Northeast, unfortunately, since we just did that one. But hopefully, we'll get to come back next year.
When's the tour start?
So he was asking when the tour starts next week. Actually, starts on the 25th. We're starting in Tulsa, and then we're playing Dallas. We get some time off, and then on Halloween we're at San Antonio, and then from San Antonio we work our way to Florida.
And any plans for any new music?
We kind of have like an album's worth of material, and we're just, because people don't, like, again, people don't really consume music like they used to, so we're kind of dropping them as singles, little nuggets here and there. So by the time the album comes out, everyone have heard all the songs, and that's kind of the goal, is to not have any deep tracks that people might snooze on.
Now, do you guys road test any of that stuff live?
A little bit. I mean, because the last two songs were released, All Your Pain, and then we're about on Monday releasing a song called Have Mercy. We've both performed those songs live before we released them. And yeah, I think we also did that with Prize for Heaven at Dark Force Fest in New Jersey. Right before the tour with Funeral Portrait and Dead on a Sunday, we were performing Prize for Heaven. So I guess kind of in a way, I mean, we planned on releasing it, but I guess it would suck that we played a song live and it falls flat, and then, we just released the song. I don't know. We haven't experienced that yet, thankfully.
Okay. Where can we get a hold of you? Facebook, Instagram?
Yes, all of our socials are the same. Our band name is Nite, Nite, but if you look up We Are the Nite, Nite, you can find us anywhere. And if you Google it, you'll even find our official website, just wearethenite.com.
That's all the questions I have. Thanks for coming on the show today. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you, Randy, for having this show and interviewing artists and giving us a chance to talk about our music and stuff. I'm very grateful for you. So thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for putting on the show and including us.
Praise the mud, fail your flesh and fade away with all the plans we've made. It will amount to nothing.